Hey, class, have you ever wondered who was the most powerful pharaoh in ancient Egypt? Was it Tutankhamun, the boy king, or Cleopatra, the last active ruler of the Ptolemaic kingdom? Today, we gonna travel back in time to the land of ancient Egypt, where the mighty river Nile flows and the pyramids stand tall against the desert sands. He faced many challenges, defeats, and setbacks during his lifetime. He embraced diversity and didn't discriminate against women. In fact, he appointed his daughter, Princess Nefertari, as the governor of the Sinai Peninsula. For example, he rebuilt his army after losing a battle with the Libyans and went on to conquer more territory than any other pharaoh before him. He also used his experience to negotiate peace deals with his enemies. While he accomplished many great things during his lifetime, I hope you learned something new and exciting about Ramses II. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more fun history videos. Until next time, keep learning and stay curious. Thanks for watching. See you next time. He also made mistakes that tarnished his reputation and caused suffering to his people. It's up to us to learn from both his successes and failures and strive to be better leaders and citizens in our own communities. So class, what can we learn today from a leader like Ramses? What are the qualities that make a great pharaoh or leader, and how can we emulate them in our own lives? Share your thoughts in the comments section below. Showing that he was able to learn from his mistakes and adapt to changing circumstances. Even when he faced personal tragedies, such as the loss of his beloved wife, Queen Nefertari, he didn't give up. Instead, he channeled his grief into creating a temple in her honor that remains one of the most beautiful and well-preserved ancient sites in Egypt. Despite facing countless obstacles and tragedies, Ramses II left behind a legacy that inspires us to keep going no matter what life throws our way. His perseverance and ability to bounce back from adversity are truly admirable. He's a role model for anyone who's ever faced tough times and felt like giving up. Remember the story of Ramses II the next time you feel overwhelmed by your problems. Take a deep breath. Remember that even the greatest leaders face challenges and keep moving forward towards your goals. You never know what you might achieve if you don't try. That's right. We're talking about a female governor in ancient Egypt. While most women couldn't own property or participate in politics, he built giant statues of himself and boasted about his victories in wars, even though many of them were questionable. For example, the Battle of Kadesh, which he claimed to have won, was actually a draw. Ramses II also exaggerated the number of prisoners and treasures he captured in battle, just like many politicians and leaders do today. He wanted to look strong and powerful to his people and the other civilizations around him. However, his obsession with his image made him blind to the real problems in his kingdom. He didn't listen to the advice of his advisors and kept making the same mistakes over and over again. Eventually, his people grew tired of his arrogance and revolted against him. Although he regained control of Egypt, he was never able to win back the loyalty of his people. They saw him as a vain and boastful leader who cared more about his image than their welfare. In the end, Ramses II was a tragic figure. He had all the qualities needed to be a great pharaoh, but his flaws and weaknesses prevented him from achieving true greatness. He will always be remembered as one of the most powerful and controversial pharaohs in history, but ultimately his legacy is a cautionary tale about the dangers of pride and arrogance. Ramses II recognized his daughter's intelligence and abilities and gave her a position of power. She managed the region with wisdom and fairness, earning the respect of her people. This goes to show that Ramses II wasn't just a ruthless conqueror, but also a visionary leader who valued competence over gender. He understood that a capable woman could do just as good a job as a man in any role. Unfortunately, Princess Nefertari's story doesn't end on a happy note. Her father's obsession with his own legacy overshadowed her accomplishments. To this day, Ramses II is remembered as the great builder who erected statues and monuments all over Egypt. He even built a massive temple in his honor at Abu Simbel. But how many of you know that he had a daughter who served as governor? History often forgets the contributions of women like Princess Nefertari, but she's a reminder that gender should never limit a person's potential. For example, he suffered a humiliating defeat at the Battle of Kadesh against the Hittites, which ended in a stalemate. Ramses II was known for his love of war, and he sure got his fair share of battles. In fact, he fought more battles than any other Egyptian pharaoh before or after him. But, as they say, even the greatest warriors sometimes lose a battle. One of his most famous battles was the Battle of Kadesh. In modern times, we would call it a three-way battle because it involved Ramses II, the Hittite Empire, and the Canaanites. All three of these civilizations were fighting for control of Syria. They wanted access to the Mediterranean Sea, which was a vital resource for trade and warfare. Ramses II was confident that his chariot forces would easily defeat the Hittites, but he underestimated his enemy. The Hittites were led by a brilliant commander named Muwatalli II, and they had a secret weapon, horses. The Egyptians didn't use horses in battle because they couldn't control them. But the Hittites had mastered horse riding, and they used their cavalry to charge into battle. They broke through the Egyptian chariots and almost captured Ramses II. If it weren't for a timely retreat, things could have turned out very badly for the Egyptians. Despite the setback, Ramses II continued to fight the Hittites for several years. Eventually, both sides grew weary of the conflict, and they decided to make a treaty. This treaty is significant because it's the oldest known peace treaty in history. It shows that even enemies can find common ground and put aside their differences. It also proves that Ramses II was a wise and diplomatic ruler who knew when to cut his losses and move on. Our story begins in the year 1279 BC with the birth of a baby boy who would one day become the most famous pharaoh of all time, Ramses II. You might be thinking, wait, wasn't he the bad guy who chased the Israelites across the Red Sea as depicted in the movie The Ten Commandments? Well, not so fast. Ramses II was actually a legendary warrior and builder who ruled over Egypt for 66 years. That's longer than most pharaohs, including the infamous Cleopatra. And if you don't believe me, stick around. By the end of this video, you'll see that Ramses II wasn't just some evil villain. He was a complex character who faced many obstacles during his lifetime, yet still managed to achieve greatness. Well, if you think any of them had it tough, just wait till you hear about Ramses II. As the third pharaoh of the 19th dynasty, Ramses II inherited a kingdom that was in decline. Egypt had lost much of its power and wealth under his predecessors, and there were threats from neighboring countries. But Ramses II was determined to restore Egypt to its former glory. When he took the throne at the age of 14, after his father's death, he did everything he could to bring his country back to its former status. After overcoming a succession crisis and defeating the Hittites, he became the undisputed ruler of Egypt. He married several foreign princesses to form alliances with other kingdoms. He also launched military campaigns into Syria, Palestine, and Nubia, bringing vast amounts of wealth and resources back to Egypt. During his reign, Egypt reached its territorial peak. Stretching from the Levant to Nubia, under his rule, the arts flourished, temples were built, and peace prevailed throughout the kingdom. In fact, Ramses II built over 100 stone temples and erected colossal statues of himself in many places. He even carved a temple in the living rock at Abu Simbel, which is still standing today, thousands of years later. It's a testament to his engineering skills and determination. This guy really took the cake when it came to challenges during his reign. Let's find out why. All right, class, settle down. Now, let's go back to the beginning, but it wasn't all smooth sailing for Ramses II. It's easy to judge historical figures by today's standards, but Ramses II was ahead of his time. One of Ramses II's most remarkable achievements was his ability to recover from his defeats and come back stronger. However, despite all his accomplishments, Ramses II is often remembered for his vanity and arrogance. Ramses II is a fascinating figure in history, and his story teaches us valuable lessons about leadership, resilience, and humility. And that's all for today's lesson, class.